What's up, guys? This is Andres. Welcome back to the Strong Family Money Show, where I show you how to be a better dad by taking control of the tools you have in your life to make your family better and stronger. So this is the first official video that I'm posting. Posted some introduction videos and kind of insight on who I am, but this will be the first official video of the Strong Family Money Show. So this is the second time that I posted this video. First time I had some battery issues, technical difficulty, whatever you want to say. So we'll see how this will be a little different than the one you see on Instagram or wherever I post the other one, but we'll see. It'll be the same subject, but it may be a little different flavor on it, because I did it once and I've had time to think about what I'm going to say. Anyway, so what is the biggest tool you have, the biggest weapon you have to make sure your family is taken care of? It is your money. And how you spend your money will determine how far your family will go. How much money you have will determine how safe your family is in the long run. You got to have food on your table, you got to have roof over your head, and you got to have clothes on their back. And the only way you can do that is to have money in your pocket. And in this video, I'm going to show you how to make sure you know how much money is in your pocket and what you should do to make sure you have enough money in your pocket. So money is your biggest tool. In order to have a tool, you have to maintain it. And the best way to maintain it, the best way to know what exactly is going on financially, is to have a budget. You know, all big countries, all big companies, they operate off of a budget so that they know how much money is coming in the front door and how much money is leaving out the back door. And they do whatever they can to increase the money coming in, decrease the money going out, so they can have enough money inside the building. So the easiest budget that I think any family should have or run is called a zero balance budget. It's the easiest budget to run. And in this video, I'm going to go over how to do that so you can use it in your day-to-day life, so you know how much money you have in your pocket. So, you know, budgeting is a method to figure out what you have. Okay, this is the easy way to do it. So let's get down to business. So the basic steps of a zero balance budget is to write down your income, how much money you have coming in. Monthly is probably the best way to keep track of your income, even if you get paid bi-weekly. Monthly is probably the easiest, the smallest snapshot you should take of your money. You don't want to get too in the weeds of doing it bi-weekly or weekly, because then you have to do it too often, and then this becomes a much larger task than it needs to be. So monthly is a good place to start. So then you have to know your expenses, your monthly expenses. You know when they happen. You know they happen at the same time every month. And they also have seasonal expenses that happen at certain times during the year. You have to know those. And then you subtract your expenses from your income, and you have a positive or negative number at the end. And then you start tweaking from there. That basically is the whole thing. Now let's go into detail on how you use the zero balance budget to help you in your day-to-day life. So first thing is to write down your monthly income, and that's not only from your job, but that's from any other outside sources of income you have. If you have a part-time job after work, if you sell something online, if you, let's say you referee soccer on the weekends and they pay you, which is not really a bad gig, by the way. You know, you have all these things that you have money coming into your household every month. All those need to be written down. You write them down on a piece of paper. You can put them in your computer. You can put it in your smartphone. But you have to know how much your net is coming in, when your paydays are, right? When your other income comes in. And it's good to do this with to start off doing this with income that is secure, right? So if you're, I guess you would want to, if your outside income fluctuates regularly, you'd probably want to, but you know you have it every month, you probably want to estimate on the low side so that it doesn't mess up your budget. If it's more erratic than that, I would not count it in this calculation, and I would add it in at the last step we're going to go over here. So you have all your income coming in the date it comes in, and you can actually set up your sheet so that, you know, I get paid, you know, put your days of the month on a sheet. On this day I get paid this much, and on this day I get paid this much. Okay. Next step is to have all your monthly expenses written down: gas, your rent, your mortgage, car payments, anything that happens every month at the same time. Again, you on that day you put it there, the day you're going to send out the payment for that thing, right? Food, you should be budgeting for food. It's a good practice to have so that you know when you go to the store, you know, I have this much to spend on food, and so you know, one, you buy the necessities you need, which is good. You don't overspend on things you don't need, which has monetary and health, what do you want to call them, characteristics, right? It helps you out in both ways. But you say, on this day, I'm budgeting this much for food. On this day is when I go shopping. So I have to have that money. And I'll make another video on how to live on cash only. That's a whole other video that take up quite a bit of time. But I'm taking cash to the grocery store on this day to buy my stuff. This is all the food, all the money I have, so I'm going to make it stretch the furthest. Okay, so you have everything, right? I would even do, before you start this, a month of where you write down everything that you spend on a piece of paper. And this is going off into the weeds, I apologize. Write down everything you spend on a piece of paper. You can see how much you really spend each month, right? But going back to the zero balance budget, on your sheet, you know, I'm gonna allocate this much money every week for, you know, if you don't take your own lunch to work, this is for eating lunch at work, right? Fun money. I get coffee in the morning, you know, every day. So you write down every monthly expense that you know you're going to spend and how much you spend on it on your piece of paper and on the day you're going to spend it. You might even be able to get away with, like, if you do lunch every day, you know, weekly expense for that week. And then you want on a separate sheet of paper, so that you can then transfer on your main sheet. Separate sheet of paper, you want to put your seasonal expenses. So some expenses don't come every month, right? You might pay insurance for your car every 6 months. You might do a quarterly life insurance payment that goes out. You have dues for whatever club you're in that are due on this day. You want to have a separate sheet for all your seasonal expenses. And that way, when you're going over your budget, you look on your seasonal expense sheet and you transfer over whatever is seasonal expense to your main sheet. So you have then on that piece of paper for the month, you write your date, what month it is. You can put it in a notebook. It's a lot easier to keep track of. If you want to do it in the computer, that's great. But you have your month, you have your days of the week, when stuff's coming in, income, when stuff's going out, expense. Seasonal expenses have been transferred to your sheet. Then calculator time, math, add it up, and this is where the magic happens. So at the end you have a number, okay, and this is a very important number. All right, so there are 3 scenarios that can happen. You have a positive number, that's great. That means you're living within your means, right? Your expenses do not exceed your income. That's good. That's a starting place. Okay. 2, for some reason, within a couple bucks, you're at 0, right? That means you're spending whatever's coming into your front door. You're spending it. Okay. An okay place to be. We'll go over what to do with that in a minute. Worst place you can be is you have a negative number at the end of the month. That means you are spending more than you bring in, right? A lot of people at this point bring out their credit card to make up that deficit because they don't want to infringe upon the spending of others or themselves that's going on every month. That's a recipe for, at the end, when you're ready to retire or an expense, you know, not even that far along, an expense comes up during the month, you don't have any money to pay for that expense, right? And that's not a good thing, a good situation to be in, right? Okay, all these situations, you apply this to all 3 situations, right? But most importantly, for if you come out and you have a negative number at the end of the month. Okay, you go back up to your expenses and you say, what can I cut for my expenses to make my number positive? Okay, number one, any frivolous items. Okay, if you go out for coffee every day on the way to work, stop. Make your own coffee at home. It's better anyway. Okay, if you eat out as a family multiple times a week, stop, right? Cut it down to 1-2 times a week. Then you recalculate to see what happens. Okay, if you have a bunch of subscription services to video or audio or magazines, you want to and we can discuss what's important and what's not. Okay, if it's educational, I would put it off, right? If you have like subscriptions, magazine subscriptions to things like political publications or the Smithsonian or stuff like that, those would be the last things I would cut, because in my opinion, that's important to have, right? But if it's like what is Sports Illustrated, if it's stuff like that, if you have all the streaming services and you're paying for them, pick one. A lot of them have free, and you probably can get away with just using YouTube. If you go out to the bar after work with your buddies every day, I would, I'm a beer drinker. I like drinking beer. I like drinking beer from the local breweries, and I know for a fact that if I stop off at a place to drink a beer, it's going to be more expensive than if I just pick up a 4-pack on the way home, right? Because you get there and you have a few, they're more expensive, they have pizza, they have pretzels, whatever, right? So you want to start budgeting for this kind of things, right? So you cut out whatever you don't need, and you do the math again, right? And hopefully you get to at least zero. Best case scenario, you get to a positive number. Okay, all three situations, whether you have a negative number, zero, or positive number, you want to do that as often as you can. Cut expenses, so that, because what happens is, you can put like savings and retirement as an expense. That is awesome, right? What's ever left over is not discretionary money. The reason it's called a zero balance budget is that you, at the end of your calculation for the month, have to be at zero, but that's only because you're doing something with that money that you have left over. You're putting that into a savings account. You're putting that into the college fund for your kids. You're investing it in the stock market. You're saving to buy a home as an investment property. You're saving to buy a home to live in if you rent and you want to buy a home, right? You want to budget. You want to allocate. You want to save. You want to cut, so that you have a number at the end. You already have a number. You want to make that number as big as humanly possible. You want to be uncomfortable during the month, so that in the long run you have all the comfort you need. And you take that money, you put it somewhere to good use. Okay, that, in a nutshell, is a zero balance budget. A few tips, right? There's no extra, like I said, there's no extra money at the end. That money is not surplus. You have to do something with it. All funds are accounted for and assigned to a fund. So you have food, you have to allocate money there. Savings, if it's from your surplus, right? You move it to savings, you move it somewhere, right? Yep. And you also have to have a goal. Okay, I want to have $1 million in the bank when I retire. I want to buy a home. I want to put my kids through college. I want to pay off my parents' mortgage. You have to have a goal, and you have to be consistent. So if in the beginning you want to be consistent at being at zero for 3 or 4 months, great. Then the next month, hey, I want to be at 500 positive. Then you're consistent at 500 positive for however long. And you want to have consistency in saving and budgeting, so that it becomes part of your life, because you have a goal and it's not a burden on you or handcuffs on your spending. And you want to involve the whole family, right? You want to have, everybody that brings in money should have a say in the budgeting. Everybody in the family should have their input on what they need and what they want to spend the money on. And then as a group, you decide, sorry, kids, we can't go to the movies every weekend. We can only go once a weekend because there's a lot of us, and when we go, it's movies and popcorn and whatever. So you want to involve the whole family with that. Now, a tip on income. I had mentioned you want to put all your income in the equation, and having more than one job is not a bad thing, right? Even if you make what you would consider a lot of money, if you have time, and if it's okay with your family, and it should be because it's to benefit them, right? You should try to bring in as much money as you can to your family. So if you have to go out, like I said, refereeing on the weekends, that's just an example of something you can do at a convenient time for everybody. If you have to go after work and get a second job, do it. If you want to sell something online, do it, right? Because you're just making your tool bigger, you're making your arsenal bigger, because money is the only way to, and of course this is taking into consideration love and support, right? But that doesn't put food in your belly, and that doesn't put a roof over your head, right? So money is your biggest tool for taking care of your family, and you want to have the biggest tool you can have to provide the most for your family. So don't be afraid to go out there. There's no shame in it. There is definitely no shame in providing for your family. As a father, that's our job. We take on the responsibility to be the provider, and you want to do the best job you can at that. So anyway, that's a zero balance budget in a nutshell. I'll put the PowerPoint that I was looking at right here in the wherever I can, in the description or whatever. If not, you can email me. I'll have my email address on there somewhere. I'll shoot it to you. If you want more detail, you want to talk one-on-one, we can set up a time to do that. We can go over the zero balance budget one-on-one. I have no problem helping people out that way. It's my job here. I've taken it upon myself to help as many people as I can to take control of their household and provide for their family in the best way they can with the information that I've collected over the years to raise my kids and support my wife and provide for all of them. And that's what this channel is all about, is sharing that information with you guys. So anyway, thanks a lot. Hope this helped, and I will talk to you guys next time.